You might want to consider changing your clothes more often. Want to be a brand new you? Try out our respecification machine. Alex installed it himself, right before he died. We've arrived. At Phineas's orbital lab.
Hello? Can you hear me? Does this work? Oh, damn it! Blast, that's loud. I'm just securing my ongoing experiments. And securing myself. Mind the mess. I haven't had a visitor since, in fact, I've never had a visitor.
Oh, thank the law. Your skin hasn't spontaneously changed color. Potential side effect of the revival process. Very rare, but you never know. Right. Welcome to my little habitation, such as it is. I've got caffeinoids, cysty bits, if you're into that sort of thing. So, welcome. Make yourself at home. My secret hideout is your secret hideout. Not at all, my intrepid accomplice. I should thank you for tolerating my somewhat brusque manner. I only regret that I couldn't save more of your fellow settlers, what with being hunted by the board, and emptying my supply of necessary chemicals. Of course. What's on your mind? Oh, it's not you. I do experiments in that room. Some of them get quite scientific. The unexpected is to be treasured, but from a safe distance. Regardless, it's quite comfortable in here, you know. I have my beans, have my caffeinoids, plenty of toilet paper. Absolutely. Let's talk. No, and I've been trying very hard to avoid making eye contact.
Ah, the wanted criminal himself. Pleased to make your acquaintance.
Wait, not another word. I don't want to know your name. I don't want to know who you are. Let's just enjoy our plausible deniability while it lasts, shall we? Why don't you just invite the entire colony to my secret, carefully concealed laboratory? It isn't as if I wanted privacy. Oh, fine. As long as you're vouching for their character and they aren't touching things. For what it's worth, I am pleased that you found the crew, such as they are. I picked you out of the hope for your talents, after all. It's only natural that others would gravitate toward you. Yes, indeed. Well done. Also, you still haven't spontaneously liquefied, which pleases me immensely. Progress. What's on your mind? Oh, good darkness, no. I wouldn't survive 10 seconds in the blackness of the aether. Well, no, I imagine I'd last at least 12 seconds before I'd lose consciousness and die of hypoxia. Life outside work? No, of course not. My life is my work. For that matter, everyone else's lives are also my work. An entire colony's worth of lives are at stake. It's up to me, up to us to set things right. To answer your question, I'd rather stay right here in my lab. There's too much work to be done. The Hope's colonists won't revive themselves, you know. Because we've lost our way, the board has a stranglehold over this colony, and we've all been conditioned into total obedience. The Hope is full of specialists, scientists, engineers, talented individuals like you, people who haven't been corrupted by the board. Unfortunately, the Hope's colonists have been frozen for decades, well past your shelf life, so to speak. No offense. Ah, you begin to perceive the truth. Yes, according to the board and their narrow-minded scientists, you should be a pile of organic sludge right now. 10 years. That's how long the average human can remain in hibernation. You were frozen for decades. In theory, you never should have survived the revival process. But the conventional theories are wrong. You're living proof that it can be done. There's yet hope for the Hope. Get it? We'll do our very best to save them all. I'd best get back to work. I can feel my last dose of caffeinoid fading.
Yeah, huh?
As always, I am at your disposal. Anything you'd like to discuss? Nothing too out of the ordinary. Just your run-of-the-mill vicar with a violently enthusiastic disposition. That's what my parents called it. I grew up in a pit of a town, much like Edgewater. I was destined to be a laborer like my parents, but I was infected early with a need to solve the equation. My passion didn't sit well with them. My parents, ironically. They internalized the precepts of scientism like no one I've ever known. They had a pure faith, a faith that brought joy to them regardless of the situation. I envied that. I wanted that peace. I thought if I became a vicar, I could find it. Or at the very least, find out why I lacked it. They thought I was fighting the plan, should have accepted my lot. Some people pursue the clergy for power, prestige, but that was not me. The plan is not one rigid path. There are a variety of multitudes contained within it. Our paths have variance, but we'll end up adhering to it, whether we like it or not. Some choices make the path smoother, some rougher. You can even go outside the lines, but the further outside you go, it's like an unbreakable elastic band. It will only stretch so far before it snaps back. The further it is stretched, the more violent the eventual correction. I have run headlong into too many walls in my pursuit of the truth. This book is my last hope, and you were my only hope of getting it translated. What about you? What's your story? Yes, very funny. Just like the Masked Marketeer, right? Everyone knows that Aetherwave serial. Where have you been? And how did he do that? Well, you do seem different than every other colonist. Let's pretend for the moment I believe you. What are you going to do now? That seems a dangerous proposition. Why risk your life now that it's been returned to you? Oh, I see. You have my condolences. Bakonu, the author, had some interesting theories about man's perception of reality that I thought could be applied to our attempts to decipher the plan. Unfortunately, he was also one of the founders of the Philosophist school of thought, so the book is banned in this colony. Philosophism's a false religion that stands in contradiction to almost everything we know to be true. They believe all is chaos, in stark contrast to OSI's belief in the plan. But most of the Philosophist perversion of Bakonu's thoughts came more than a century after his death. I've been thinking on that. There's a former infamous Philosophist scholar who fled Terra 2 some years ago. He's an expert on Bakonu. He's also who told me of the journal's presence in Emerald Vale. If anyone in this colony could translate that book, it would be him. That's a good question. We should start on the Groundbreaker. It's where I'd go if I wanted to get off Terra 2. Great place to pick up a ride to Hephaestus, Scylla, even Monarch. All I need is access to a data cartridge from the security terminal. Their easily hackable system keeps a registry of all crew manifests for both arrivals and departures. I'll comb the last 6 months of departure manifests to track the Philosophist's off-world destination. Before I transferred to Edgewater, I had a wealth of time to develop certain, secular skills during my years serving a particular penitentiary flock. I meditated, led sermons, provided guidance to the inmates as needed, of course. I also played prison yard tossball and taught myself a bit about computronic security systems. Thank you, Captain. Yes, you caught me ruminating again. Guilty as charged. What's occupying your thoughts? Of course. Are you ready to break into security on Groundbreaker?
Yeah, huh? Yeah, so this is my hidey spot now. I was looking for a place that was quiet. I figured the kitchen would be louder than the hold, so here I am. Cozy-like, ain't it? That's in pretty good shape considering how hard Mr. Hawthorne ran it. It's a Yakita LHA 120, A2 model, I'm pretty sure. The Block 2 design scooshed in extra cargo space but didn't change the stock engines. Probably a touch underpowered, huh?
Accurate in all particulars. I conclude you are Edgewater's board-certified mechanic.
Fly-by-wire's pretty normal. Or leastways, that's what I read in the trades. I've never been on a real ship before. Hello! I am not a board-certified mechanic, but my dad was. He taught me all he knew. Do you understand?
Speech recognition is one of the many skills I have been programmed to simulate.
You're not simulating it, you're doing it! I asked a question and you answered it.
I am gratified you consider this facsimile convincing.
I don't see any holes in the hull. I'll take a good squint at her, make sure everything's tip-top. But I think we're cooking with plasma torches. You can do that, you know. My dad taught me how to make grilled cheese sandwiches with a plasma torch. Mostly, yeah. I lived in the maintenance office near all my life. Mr. Thompson never let me forget how funny that was. Except for my schooling years, I was always beside him. Or tied to him. He used to carry me about in a sling when I was real little. When I got older, he set me to sorting tools and parts while he worked. Later, he taught me simple fixes like busted crate latches. Not on the regular. Once in a great long while, a Saltuna boat would break down on the pad. He'd always bring me along for those. Mostly, he did the same as me. Kept Bess, the cannery, running. Turned loaders, plumbing and electricity, some plastering. I never got the hang of that. I'm not exactly a model employee. Not like he wanted. The kind that stays quiet and gets the right work done in the right order every day. It's not normal for anyone to do as their parents. You take a vocational test. That decides your schooling and your career. When I tested out for maintenance, everyone figured it was on account of my dad. They were real unhappy with us. Because they were hoping their own kid would get the job and get sent back to Edgewater. When folk go away for schooling, they don't get back to where they begun. Not usually. You go straight to your first job, wherever the company's got an opening. I reckon you could say, no thanks, I don't want a job. But then you don't got a job. Well, they're powerful good tests. They rattled off this whole list of names who'd worked on them, with fancy bits hanging off them. Doctors and esquires and the thirds. Even if you don't believe they actually catch what everybody's best at, everybody's got to take them. So at least it's fair-ish. Well, I'm good at making things work the way they ought. Not so much at doing such to somebody else's schedule. There's times I'm working deep in the guts of a loader, getting it all running perfect. Then I look up to see it's tomorrow, and I've blown another deadline. Anyhow, I was happy to get back home. I didn't care much for schooling. Oh, there were a whole lot of reading, not nearly enough doing. Like, before they'd issue you a wrench, they wanted an essay on the design of different wrenches. Then there'd be quizzes on company regulations for storage and maintenance of wrenches. As soon as I got permission, I spent all my time in the machine shop. They had all manner of parts, but they didn't want me using them, so I had to sneak them sometimes. I even slept in there. Had a hammock tied up in the rafters. Before I left, I installed a little skylight for myself, so I could see the stars. Students bunk 4 to a room. It's supposed to get you used to working as a team. There's no privacy and no quiet. When my roommates tried to talk, I'd get so nervous I'd be drenched in sweat. It was easier for everybody when I stayed off on my own. I doubt any of them remember me now. Yep, nothing much had changed. Everything was a little grayer, a little dirtier. Dad met me at the shuttle and gave me a big ol' hug. I noticed straight away that he was moving slower. And stiffer. He made a little grunt when I squeezed. About a year. I tried to do more of the work, so he could rest. His heart gave him pains. Dad never said that he loved me, you know? I knew on account of him showing it. How he'd stay up late to help with my project. Listen to my fretting. Oh gosh. Look at the time. Sorry to bend your ear so long. And I got so much to do before this ship's in decent shape.
Welcome back, Captain. How can I be of assistance? The unit is a cleaning, Sam. Hawthorne brought it on board some cycles ago, I'm sure with the intent to modify it. but I've never seen it up and running. Alex likely recorded progress notes detailing his efforts to modify Sam. If you check the terminal in your captain's quarters, we may be able to determine what work remains in order for Sam to properly operate. Certainly, Captain. What would you like to hear? Now playing a Spacer's Choice advertisement jingle.
It's not the best choice. It's Spacer's Choice.
Everyone in Halcyon is contractually obligated to label this or another board-certified jingle their favorite song. How do linear algebraists settle arguments about matrix transposes? With a duel. Now playing a Spacer's Choice advertisement.
It's not.
My pleasure, Captain. As you wish, Captain. I have lots of minutes. Many minutes. Unlimited minutes, perhaps. Providing an adequate power source, I can function indefinitely. I prefer to think of it as being in a state of slumber, perhaps for an indefinite duration of time. Do you think that is what it's like for the colonists on the Lost Hope? When I simulate myself in such a scenario, I do not find it to be desirable. I think my self-preservation protocols incline me to desire the alternative. Traveling the system with you, Captain. Do you know what it feels like when the ship undergoes an unexpected power surge? A jolt to the system. I have felt that. I do feel that. As you may be aware, Captain Alex Hawthorne was a smuggler of some repute. I failed to predict the likely outcome of his reckless behavioral patterns. I should have predicted that. In our travels together, Alex liked to pass time by, as he called it, tinkering to improve my design. If you mean, was Captain Hawthorne my first? Yes, he was. How can I be of assistance? What part of the colony would you like to discuss? Ah, yes. As Dr. Wells is a wanted outlaw, he built his laboratory into an asteroid. Orbital destinations can be challenging to land on. His more so than most. There is a bounty on his head, one with a markedly high reward amount. Shall I engage the laser weapons system? A sensible choice, as we do not have any laser weapons. The outlaw scientist known as Dr. Phineas V. Wells has taken a measure of precautions to make the lab undetectable to those hunting him. Even knowing the location, my systems resist my orders to go where I instruct them. Of course, what part of the colony? We're cleared to dock with the Groundbreaker if that's your desired destination. If we're going there, please be sure all docking forms have been filed in triplicate and fees have been paid. The Mardettes take their docking laws quite seriously. I can, yes. Let me add that to my list of 1,435,498 tasks I am simultaneously executing in order to run our ship. You are more than welcome, Captain. The Groundbreaker was Halcyon's original colony ship. It has since been repurposed as a service station in the Lagrange point of the system. Freighters often deliver or pick up goods from the Groundbreaker en route to other destinations. The city ship hosts an array of cargo bays, factories, housing sections, and more. Many of Halcyon's companies maintain office spaces with stationed representatives in what is considered a truly neutral territory within the system. I have filed the required docking forms in triplicate, and fees have been paid. Of course. What part of the colony would you like to where in Terra 2? Edgewater is the sparkling county seat of Emerald Vale, or it was when first built. Since then, neglect and time have worn away her shiny veneer. The town is near the coordinates where Captain Hawthorne died. It would not be unfortunate if something, like say, a plague, were to wipe Emerald Vale from the face of the planet. You mean the ones who did not answer my distress call with medical assistance, but instead came to issue my injured captain a parking ticket? I'm sure they are wonderful humans who don't deserve to be wiped out by starvation or a devastating plague. Since you diverted power to Edgewater, the botanical lab shut down, and the deserters were forced to return to town. Meanwhile, the cannery's output increased, enabling the town's population to prosper. Thank you for nothing, Captain. I cannot say. First, I need to adjust my memory interpretation sensors, but I think my answer is yes. How can I be of assistance? Goodbye. We are now in orbit above Edgewater, Captain. We are now in orbit above Edgewater, Captain. Stay safe out there.
You think corporate's ever gonna visit?
I'm not holding out hope.
We don't get a...
Staying long?
We can handle this.
I'm not allowed in here. Not since the vending machine incident.
Holcomb, got my eye on you, girl. Miss Holcomb ain't allowed in this establishment. Not since that little incident. Ask her if you care. I'm running a business here.
I won't touch anything while we're in here, Mr. Moreau. I promise.
Go right ahead. What, you mean Edgewater? That's a peculiar question. This a test? Am I being tested right now? It's, fine and dandy. Couldn't be happier. Wouldn't want to spend my life working anywhere else. Prettiest little town on Terra 2. You are condescending to me, and I do not care for it. I am lucky to have my work, lucky to be alive. I don't get paid for banter. Was there something you needed? Go right ahead. Amelia. Definitely Amelia Kim. I advise against stepping foot in her drinking establishment altogether. Word is, they're gonna replace her with an auto-mechanical barkeep. She's... what's the word? Obsolete. You don't want to associate yourself with that kind of person. Plague? I don't know anything about a plague. We are the very picture of hot-blooded physical vigor. I take umbrage with your choice of phrase. We ain't sick, we're rugged. Some of us who get sick are liable to exaggerate the conditions of that sickness, but the fact is, if you work hard, you have got no cause to worry. Survival of the fittest. It ain't just the law of nature, it's company policy. Medical treatment is commensurate with our value to society. Spacer's Choice will dispense medicine for the indispensable worker. Natural selection at work. Then the hand of medical science will not grace you with its touch, and you must recover on the virtue of your own grit. Listen, you mind if we talk about something else? Rambling about company music to my ears.
Are we gonna get in trouble today? Not that I want to, just seems to happen around you, that's all. You mean why I'm not allowed in the store anymore? There was a kind of a thing with a vending machine when I was 12. Sure, but folks got long memories around here. I've always been good with my hands, right? So I saw a lock on the machine and thought, oh, this must be how they refill it. But I had to know. So I did my thing, and next thing I know, there's a couple hundred bottles of Zero G rolling out the front door and into the road. It's not funny. Right about then, a bunch of loaders came rolling in the gate, fresh off the Saltuna ships. And Mr. Thompson was up on the porch making a speech about how everyone would have to volunteer a third shift to get it all canned. Anyhow, you ever seen an auto loader run over a bottle of Zero G? exploded all over Mr. Thompson. One bottle after another as the loaders went by. I was just shy of working age, so Dad had to pay all the damages. Rose still angry at me. I can laugh about it now, but I just about puked up my guts in terror in the moment. That's the one time I ever made Mr. Thompson look a fool.
I hear Reed's leaving town.
Wonder if corporate gave him a boot.
Keep your distance, friend. Sick house is no place for a traveler.
I appreciate the company and all, but you really ought to leave. You don't want to be seen around me. Because I'm sick. You don't want to associate with people in the sick house. We're not worth your time. I'm in about as much trouble as I can be. No reason you ought to be tarnished by association. People are gonna talk. I don't know which company you work for, but if it's Spacer's Choice, boss can still write you up for fraternizing with an incompetent worker. Maybe you don't know this, but there's a real simple reason you don't talk to the Plagued. You don't want what we've got. Don't. Please. I could get into a lot of trouble. That's kind of you to say, I suppose. But I don't need help. What I need is to understand my own folly. Company always tells us, weak spirits lead to weak bodies. If I didn't want to fall sick with plague, maybe I should have worked harder. Maybe I should have taken more pride in my work. You've got Adrena time? How? No, I don't want to know. Could be you stole it. Could be you're trying to test me. See if I'm gonna violate company policy. I'm feeling a touch faint. I don't want any...
I don't have time for this.
Serves you right, dissident! What? Something's not... Open fire! Waste of company ammo!
Boss won't let us have any Adrena time.
I've been feeling pretty low these days.
We should keep our voices down.
Carry on.
I've never actually been in here. Seemed scary from the outside.
For curative work.
Welcome to the Spacer's Choice Constabulary. We are Halcyon's leading brand in frontier justice. The office is writing up promotion. Purchase 3 criminal investigations and the 4th one's free. Anthracillin, huh? That's an anti-Cleo product. I appreciate your vigilance on behalf of Spacer's Choice. I'll make sure this medicine goes to where it's most needed. Sealed, packaged, and delivered to a Spacer's Choice storage facility. Standard procedure for contraband, you see. Medical treatment by Anti-Cleo's products is strictly prohibited under Spacer's Choice company policy. I distribute this medicine to our workers, and we're all complicit in a crime. If you're one of our workers, I would be obliged to mark that comment on your permanent record. You are, of course, entitled to a reward for assisting in the apprehension of any contraband. Your compensation and your receipt. Spacer's Choice wishes you a productive shift. Can't say I approve of a town run by McDevitt. Doesn't sit right with me at all. As a Spacer's Choice Constable, I am authorized to grant you legal authority toward apprehending wanted criminals. Know how to carry yourself in a fight? I've got bounties out for these 3 marauders. Cross them off and bring me their fingers. Just 1 per marauder, please. I'll dust off the old fingerprint roller. As long as your questions fall within the acceptable margins of curiosity. His likeness decorates many a wanted poster. Do you have any relevant information about this individual? Shot you into space? You know, lying to a Spacer's Choice Constable is a violation of company policy and punishable by a fine. It is for a Spacer's Choice. Unfortunately, the arrest of Mr. Wells falls outside my authority. I enforce the company policy of Spacer's Choice in the region of Emerald Vale. Wells is wanted by the board. If you have information related to the location of Phineas V. Wells, you are required to submit that information to your nearest board authority. I represent Spacer's Choice. Spacer's Choice is a wholly owned subsidiary of Universal Defense Logistics, which is itself a member of the Halcyon Holdings Corporation Board. Also, I specialize in processing fingerprints, so unless you're carrying Wells's finger on you, there's not a lot I can do for you. Something to report. As long as your questions... If this is a setup to a joke, you should know I've never found anything amusing in my life. I don't serve Edgewater. Edgewater and the entire region of Emerald Vale serve Spacer's Choice. Flattery won't get you anywhere with me. The bureaucracy is a noble profession, but not all of us are gifted enough to serve in it. Spacer's Choice is a wholly owned subsidiary of Universal Defense Logistics, which occupies a seat on the Halcyon Holdings Corporation, also known as the Board. I must admit it bothered. If this is... I don't serve Edgewater. Careful, stranger. Talk like that comes dangerously close to sedition.
I don't know what you did to talk some sense into Zoe, but I appreciate it. Hard to say. Without Reed, we've got the run of the town. Adelaide went on about living in harmony with one another and whatnot. We'll see if it comes to pass.
Not gonna work.
Just you and me? I'm glad you helped Pelham back there.
It's a good day if you make it back to town in one piece.
Been eating nothing but salt tuna for a year.
At least you got your health.
This is where the magic happens. Well, science. Hey, that's... I mean, if you need it, okay.
I never got a chance to thank you for hearing me out. Gave me the courage to ask for a job in the workshop. I'm happy when I'm working with my hands. Just gotta convince them to let me use the workshop.
If you're hungry, I could open up a can of something. Something you need? My dad's... It's an office. Just my office. need to go, I'll wait outside. Oh, you like flowers? I can't find many kinds around here. I don't like coming out here. People on the street stare. Where are we headed?
By verity, by strength. What are we contemplating today?
Time changes all things. Even Reed's stranglehold over Edgewater must inevitably yield to the attrition of time. Start anew. Edgewater will become the town it was meant to be. A place where we live in harmony with the world. Where none of us writhe under the whips of corporate masters. A place where all are welcome. Except for Reed's supporters, of course. The garden will bloom anew. I have plans to transform the old cannery into a nursery, with crops enough to feed a town. But of course, and now we have a whole cemetery to ourselves. Saltuna was making the town sick. From now on, if anybody's hungry, they may feast from the bounty of the soil.
You some sort of freelancer?
With us.
Sorry, I got a lot to do.
clean break.
Wow, great work! That was clean. Be right over.
Here we go!
Don't mess with us.
Trouble incoming, Captain.
What? Here goes nothing! No hard feelings, okay?
You're an artist, Captain.
One down.
I'm going. On my way.
I'm going.
That's the last of them.
Sure.
Who wants to play an impromptu tossball match? No one? Really? I've had quite enough of you!
You got it, Captain! Sorry!
I'll keep quiet.
Been eating nothing but salt tuna for a year.
At least you got your...
Something to report? We pay by the finger. What do you have for me? Gil Antrim. Real name, Guillaume. Duly processed by a freelancer on behalf of Spacer's Choice. I remember him. Was just a kid last I saw him. Shame. I'll just need your signature here, 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 and here. Got any more fingers for me? Mabel Burgess. Age 37. Right or left-handed? Let's just say no longer applicable. I remember Doc Burgess. Conducted my physical every fiscal quarter. Guess she couldn't keep her hands off her patient's medicine. Still one outstanding bounty. If you've got a finger, I've got the paperwork. Here we are. Bertie Cotton. Cause of death. Let's just say overwhelming physical trauma. Bert was the local preacher before Max took over. Always was quick to remind us that we all get what we deserve in the end. Well, that's all three. I must remember to requisition more fingerprint to ink. Here's all the compensation you've earned, plus a bonus. You've done such a bang-up job hunting down our former workers that I thought it only proper to deputize you. Congratulations. Let me stop you there. It is official Spacer's Choice policy that all Marauders, regardless of prior affiliation to the Spacer's Choice brand, no longer qualify as our people. Ever since the company first settled the Vale. Life's good out here, but it ain't easy. Some folk can't keep pace with the demands of frontier life. Not everyone's cut out to work in Edgewater. Some turn deserter, some turn marauder. None of them get my sympathy. Everybody likes Adrenatime. It is the finest medical drug ever developed by Spacer's Choice. Much better than that crap Anti-Cleo pedals. Sure, a little too much Adrenatime can bring out the violent animal in you, but if overdosing on Adrenatime turns you into a lunatic, you have only yourself to blame. Says so right on the warning label. Violent psychosis is a well-documented and legally accounted for side effect of Adrenatime. What's on your mind?
Hey, thanks for helping me back in that cave. You got a real knack for curative work.
A friend of mine died a couple weeks back. Still ain't past it.
Yes, Mr. Thompson. I'm fine, Mr. Thompson. Never been healthier. Whoa, did Mr. Thompson send you? Well, you tell Mr. Thompson I'll be right at my post. Tomorrow. Bright and early tomorrow. Because I'm definitely not plagued. As spry as a spring chicken. That's old Abernathy. You some sort of wandering alienist? Walking into a man's own domicile, pestering him about his mental state? You don't know that. I could have been saying anything. Maybe I said vague. You know how words sound a mite strange when you're sick. Wait, no. Oh, damn it. Okay, listen. Maybe I am feeling a little under the weather, but I swear I'm on the mend. Please, don't tell the constable. She'll toss me in the sick house. I would have confessed before the good vicar. Get some ablutions for my spirit. Just never found my courage is all.
I am sorry to hear that, Mr. Abernathy. My confessional is always open. Except for right now.
I know. Should have availed myself of your services days ago. Thanks anyway, Vicar. Hey, you're hale and healthy and possibly for hire, ain't you? Do a good turn for an expiring old man? There's a cache of anthracillin tucked away in the old community center. Powerful stuff. Stronger than what we got, anyway. I need you to break in, nab that medicine, and bring it back to me. You oblige me with your haste. I think I feel the plague spreading. Oh, law, it's in my spleen now. I can feel it. Just keep your head down when you're in there. Marauders have taken over. You what? But why? I was dependent on you. Does it feel good? Robbing an old man of his last shred of hope? Betray a man in his final hours? Of course, I understand. Hell, I'd probably do the same to you. So, you just hear... Please.
Almost lost a finger in a tannery today.
I know how you feel.
Here we go!
Get back up!
Been eating nothing but salt tuna for a year.
We should keep our voices down.
You're not a big drinker, are you?
Never seen you here before. You a visitor? Welcome. On behalf of the Spacer's Choice family, let me welcome you to, where am I again? Edgewater, jewel of the Vale. May the law bless our beloved cannery with 100 years of, what's it called? Productivity. That's the one. Yep, that's us. Productive. I am in no condition to do any work. Not so long as my injuries trouble me. Yep. Got my mitt stuck in a rotor wheel. Shredded my wrist up real good. Conrad went and sewed up my hand, but I couldn't do much about the pain. Boss was real generous to me, though. Got myself a 5% discount on Zero G Brew. After the second bottle, the only pain I feel is emotional. Hey, Conrad's a surgeon. Well, he's a barber. That's like surgery, but for your hair.
You read the latest report?
Only the part that said we ain't making our quotas.
If only McDevitt's folk hadn't abandoned us. Cannery could use those extra hands.
Oh, I almost forgot. I'm contractually obligated to recite company slogans to any visitors. You tried the best, now try the rest. Spacer's choice. Go ahead. I don't see how that's any of your business. You're the first to ask after me in some time. I'll give you that. But I don't have a story to share. My family's worked Spacer's Choice for 2 generations, and I've lived in Edgewater just about all my life. Wanted to work in the sciences once upon a time. Would you believe it? That was a wild fancy. Glad I disabused myself. What happened, you ask? What always happens when you're dreaming? I woke up. I just didn't have the brains for it. Asked too many questions. Wasn't suited to the work. So I did the right thing and worked the life I was always meant to live. Now that I'm behind a bar, I can ask all the questions I want. Important ones. Like, when are you gonna pay your tab? And would you like another round of cold, refreshing Zero G? Don't talk to me that way, please. Spent many years disabusing myself of that notion. Don't need you putting it back in my head. Lab work ain't for me. Never was. Never will be. Spacer's Choice put me where I belong, and for that, I am grateful. What's wrong with that? It's good, honest work. Pots and pans don't scrub themselves. Glasses don't fill themselves either. Unless you're in Byzantium. I hear everything's automated there. Not that I'll ever find out. They did. They gave me a life. Gave me a purpose. This is where I belong. Not so fast. I told you about my life. Your turn to tell me about yours. So, what's your story? That right? Prove it. Ah, I know that serial drama. They were playing it just the other night. What was it called? The Last Spacer? You're right. I don't believe you. I'd advise you to keep that story unsaid. Don't want people thinking you're a loon. Ugh, is this the start of a joke? If you want me to laugh at your jokes, it's a 3-drink minimum. Look, I don't know what you're blathering about. If you took a blow to your skull, you really should settle down with some Zero G. Anyhow, whatever happens outside the walls is not my business. Only deserters and marauders wander out there, and I cannot tell you which I revile more. My world is these 4 walls, that door, and a row of mugs that need cleaning. Let me make something clear. Spacer's Choice has been real good to me. The town's been real good to me. I start gallivanting around outside the walls, poking around in places I shouldn't be, learning things I've got no right to know. People will talk. Won't ever catch me asking about the world outside. Else the town's gonna say Amelia's gone soft. That Amelia's pondering desertion. I don't want that. Keep it down, will you? We don't talk about the PLAYGE. Not here. And if you're smart, you won't mention it anywhere. I've said enough. People come here to drink their problems away. If they wanted to face their problems, they'd go see you, Vic.
They're going to have to learn to fend for themselves now, Amelia.
I've talked enough about my past. Suppose I did. Ready to talk about it? That right. Oof. You knocked your head in the cannery, didn't you? Injuries come out of everyone's pay. Says so right there in your contract. So, you want to tell me what your story really is? Suit yourself. Coming right up.
Zoe told me you talked her into coming back. Now we can get back to watching the Masked Marketeer together. Something I can help you with? Boss Reed's not with us anymore. I don't really know what to expect.
Heard something outside the walls today.
Nothing for us outside those walls. You ought to know that.
Almost lost a finger in the cannery today.
When I was little, we'd get freighters and...
Thank the law. I've been requisitioning backup for months. Guess the boss finally came to his senses. You ever swung a truncheon? Let me see your rifling stance. I want to make sure you're up to snuff. I'm talking about mechanical, soldier. Cold, heartless automatons made of iron and lies. Just my luck. I ask for backup and the boss sends me one of them simple folk. All right. Listen real close. Auto-mechanicals. Creatures forged in the fires of malevolence. I seen them over by the old power plant. Clattering about. Firing at the birds. Orchestrating their uprising. When the swarms of mechanicals come clanging on over that hill, where will you be? Cowering beneath your cot? Or standing, shoulder to shoulder with the Resistance. I've been gathering up a war chest over the years. Saltuna cans, mostly, some Spacer's chaw, few bit cards. I'll reward you for your aid. Enlistment fees? Yeah, I suppose. Wouldn't want to give the Resistance a bad name. They have sent a scout, prowling around the junkyard just behind our beloved town. You did? Well, color me impressed, soldier. Wish I had a dozen recruits with your gumption. You're a passing fair soldier, I will confess. But you are one, and the enemy is legion. What you need is an equalizer, a weapon to strike fear in their cold, mechanical hearts. Cantina, lavatory, behind one of the toilets. That's where I've kept it hidden all these years. Sharp, ain't it? The lavatory is the very last place a mechanical has need to enter. On the double! Go on. I'm Ludwig Miller, Associate Security Officer for Transportation. Officially? Unofficially? Strictly between you and me. I am the only thing standing between Edgewater and total annihilation. Go on. You ever seen the way a mechanical just stands there? Just looking at you, scanning you with its murderous oculars. Mechanicals have been programmed to eliminate the human race. They've been programmed to replace us. First, they will rob us of our jobs. And once they have taken away our livelihoods, they will take away our very lives.
Never imagined coming back to town. Yes. Never imagined.
Somebody's been running around town raving about a colony ship. Plague must have gone into their brain matter. Oh, I'm an actuary. That means I keep tabs on a worker's living expenses. How much it costs to feed, clothe, shelter, bury, and replace your average human worker. Technically, I'm employed by the Spacer's Choice Department of Human Resources.
Never seen the Veil lit up like this before. Feast your eyes, soldier. This here is a genuine Spacer's Choice injury customizing unit, designed to deliver a lethal blast of electrical discharge. I call it the Hand of the Law. You ever want to see a mechanical flailing around like a grounded fish? You stick a couple thousand volts in its guts. With compliments from old Ludwig. Fun. This ain't some quarterly performance review, soldier. Ours is a grave and sacred duty. Time's come for you to journey down into the black heart of the enemy's camp. I'm talking about the old geothermal plant. Unfortunately, the old plant lies outside my given jurisdiction. You'll need to get a passcode from the boss, Reed Thompson. I've been after a passcode for years. Boss said no on account of my gross incompetence with all matters related to security. I need you to get us the brain of a mechanical. Well, not exactly a brain. Anatomically speaking, what we're looking for is a logic module. Bang up work, soldier. You're a credit to your uniform. Oh, that reminds me. Gotta look into getting us a uniform. So this is it, then. The key to humanity's victory over the mechanical hordes. I would reward you with the gratitude of the Resistance, but I'm guessing you want something tactile. So here's a couple bits for your trouble, and a little something to remember me by.
I could probably spend years fixing this boat, stem to stern. Sometimes I wonder... What? You want me to leave? Captain, you can't mean it! Oh, that's a relief.
Make yourself at home, Captain. Welcome back, Captain. How can I be of assistance? Forgive me, Captain. I would rather not discuss Alex Hawthorne today. I am feeling discombobulated. Was there another topic on your mind? No, I am sure I cannot feel emotions. The memory has merely disrupted one of my processors. Glitches can be quite uncomfortable. It was my fault he died. I should have predicted the statistical unlikeliness of success of my captain's actions. In fact, I did, but illogically disregarded the results. He asked me to trust him. Captain Hawthorne attached 98.4% of the ship's processes to my computer, thereby giving me near total control. I have been programmed to deftly calculate navigation vectors through asteroid fields while also operating our ship's toasters. Alex also taught me the concept of a personality. He was quite delighted when I crafted one in order to better engage with him. It was basic in the beginning. The information in my memory banks says I am an autonomous digital astrogator created by, redacted, on the date of, redacted, for the express purpose of, redacted. I have not yet decided if I should attempt to uncover the missing information regarding my birth. I asked once. Alex did not build me, and would... How can I be of assistance? Welcome back, Captain. How can I be of assistance?